Dillon Brooks is a name that needs no introduction. Everyone knows that he desperately wants to be the bad guy, the villain on the court. But little does he realize that you have to have a serious game to back up all the talking. See, that was exactly the reason why things backfired when Brooks decided to display his shenanigans against none other than LeBron James. And what happened next? Let's just say Dillon Brooks learned a lesson he'll never forget. Dillon Brooks' antics got so bad that he would have been sent to Shanghai if the Rockets didn't scoop him up after last season. Brooks was all about that trash talk and stirring up controversy. From hitting guys below the belt, to talking trash in the post-game media session, and even picking fights with multiple-time NBA champions. It was getting out of hand. But let's rewind a bit. Was Dillon Brooks always this irritant pest? Or did he become one after he was drafted? Back in his college days at Oregon, he led Oregon to the Final Four, which the school has never been to up until that point. He was the featured guy on a college roster and had to lead his team to wins. He had a villain, killer mentality. But it wasn't solidified up until this point because of the role he had at Oregon. He would start his NBA career in 2017 after being drafted by the Rockets, but quickly being traded to the Memphis Grizzlies on draft night. But the interesting part about Brooks, especially after being taken 45th overall in that draft, was that he would not come into the NBA and be the same featured guy he was at Oregon. He had to fight for minutes early in his career. And when it comes to fighting for minutes to keep your job, you have to stand out. And this aspect, finding a way to stand out, is what really formed his villain origin story. Brooks' way of standing out was bringing an extra level of tenacity and ruggedness on the defensive side of the ball. And with that rugged defense came the ability to trash talk and get under the skin of top NBA players. And he wasn't just playing games, he was actually a great defender. And he was being touted as a potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate down the line. His defensive game was always rock solid, and even better, he always took the challenge of locking down the other team's best player. He had to wait a few seasons, but Brooks finally snagged a spot on the NBA All-Defensive Second Team in 2023. While his perimeter defense continued to develop over the years, so did his talent of getting under his opponent's skin. It first started when Brooks was all up in Steph's, Clay's, and Draymond's faces, making sure they knew he was there to cause trouble. Remember when he got into it with Gary Payton II, leaving him with a fractured elbow? Then there's the trash talk, telling Klay Thompson straight up that he sucks, which got Klay firing back with some harsh words of his own, and showing Brooks his 4 fingers representing his 4 championship rings. And don't get me started on his battles with Draymond Green. These two just can't seem to stay out of each other's way every single time they meet. And while all this was going on with Brooks, the NBA, and more specifically the entire Western Conference, was taking notice. The West was already on edge after Ja Morant, Brooks' teammate at the time, infamously said publicly that he was fine in the West. Brooks brought his antics and his own brand of intensity to every game he played in 2023, and there were plenty of eye-catching instances. The beef with the Warriors is only a small part of Brooks' villain story. There was the issue with Donovan Mitchell, the entire Dallas Mavericks bench, and even an innocent cameraman. But Brooks knew that getting into a mix with the Warriors, Donovan Mitchell, or even a poor cameraman wasn't that big of a deal. But then, the playoffs came around, and Brooks was ready to engage in a challenge that he had never faced before. He brought his antics and trash talking to someone completely new this time, and this particular player was someone that he might regret being disrespectful to. LeBron James. Before the 2023 NBA playoffs, LeBron and Brooks squared off 11 times in the regular season, with LeBron averaging his usual 25 points and 8 assists in those games. Brooks never gave LeBron much problem on the court up until this point, but he decided to go at the king when the two met in the first round of the 2023 playoffs. The Lakers took Game 1 convincingly, but in Game 2, things were taking a turn. LeBron was getting fed up with all of Brooks' antics, and with the Lakers trying to battle back into the game, the already frustrated LeBron saw his opportunity against Brooks, backed him down, and hit this fall-away shot over him. And by LeBron's reaction after the play, you could tell Brooks was loving every moment of this ongoing beef. This nearly resulted in LeBron picking up a tech. After the game, Brooks made a very disrespectful mark on the King, and this was the turning point to where it all went wrong for Brooks. He didn't hold back going at LeBron. When a reporter asked if he should be doing his antics with one of the best players in the game, he responded with,
"I don't care, he's old."
And he even took it a step further, saying,
"I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40. I pride myself on, what I do is defense and taking on any challenge that's on the board."
This clip went viral all over social media, and it was crazy considering that LeBron went for 28 points and 12 rebounds on 52% shooting in Game 2. But Brooks didn't stop there. Before the start of Game 3, LeBron and Brooks came face to face after the media firestorm surrounding their beef blew up. But Brooks was just getting started. He took it to the next level by committing a flagrant foul on LeBron just 17 seconds into the second half of Game 3, getting him ejected from the game. Despite being on the receiving end of the flagrant, LeBron rallied the Lakers in the second half to a double-digit victory, pushing them to a 2-1 series lead. And how did the rest of the series play out for Brooks? It's safe to say it was a literal nightmare for Brooks. In Game 4, possibly the most embarrassing moment imaginable for Brooks happened, with his team in desperate need of a defensive stop in overtime to avoid going down 3-1. Brooks let the old 38-year-old LeBron power right by him, sealing the deal with an epic and one. Although the Grizzlies defeated the Lakers in Game 5 by a score of 116-99 and avoided elimination in 5 games, Game 6 was back in Los Angeles and the Lakers cruised to a massive 40-point blowout win to eliminate the Grizzlies. Brooks sure got his wish to defend LeBron, but it appears that he was way over his head with that disrespectful comment, and now it sounds like he's going to have to pay the price. He was also a complete no-show throughout those 6 games, especially offensively. 24 of 77 from the floor, 31.2% shooting, and the worst, I repeat, the worst points per possession of all players in the postseason who attempted at least 50 field goals. He went 8 of 33 from the three-point line during the Lakers series. Not only could he not stop LeBron by any means, he had a horrific performance on the offensive end. Brooks put himself under a ton of pressure to perform, and he couldn't back up his talk. Even though LeBron didn't exactly give Brooks 40, he didn't need to drop 40 to prove his point. Going back to Game 3, he led the Lakers to a historic 35-9 lead in the first quarter, scoring 25 points in the game. Meanwhile, Brooks struggled, shooting just 3 of 13 before getting ejected. In the end, Memphis lost the series in 6 games, leaving Brooks to see the consequences of his bold, or as some might say, reckless actions, proving that sometimes trying to be the bad guy can backfire in a big way. LeBron could have fired back with some trash talk of his own, but instead, he took the high road, focusing on the game rather than getting caught up in Brooks' antics. And when you're going up against someone like LeBron, who's arguably the greatest player to ever play basketball, it's just not the wisest move. Trash talk can be a double-edged sword, and in this case, Brooks found himself on the wrong end of it. And to add insult to injury, after the Grizzlies' second seed regular season ended in a first-round exit to the 7th-seeded Lakers, Memphis decided not to bring him back for another season. When the team's general manager declined to comment on Brooks' future, it was pretty clear which way the wind was blowing. Now, Brooks isn't one to shy away from causing trouble. Whether it's calling out LeBron James or taking shots at other NBA stars like Donovan Mitchell and Draymond Green, Brooks isn't afraid to speak his mind and get under the skin of opponents. Despite his all-defensive second-team selection last season, his inconsistency and distractions ultimately played a part in the Grizzlies letting him go. And while Brooks may have ruffled some feathers along the way, even LeBron James himself acknowledged his talent. Call him arrogant, call him a bully, call him toxic. Brooks shrugs it off. He knows everyone's got an opinion, and he's not losing sleep over it. He might have found a home in Houston, but he learned one thing. If you're going to disrespect playoff Bron, you might regret it. Because in Brooks' case, that series was his last time ever in a Grizzlies uniform. Thanks for watching today's video. If you liked this one, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.